This is question 16 from the 2022 GCSE Mathematics Higher Tier exam and tests our understanding of probability. If you find this video helpful, please consider leaving a like, a comment, sharing this video, and subscribing to our channel for more content like this. We've been told that there are two parts to a first aid test, a theoretical part and a practical part, and that the probability of passing one part is independent of the other. The question tells us that the probability of passing the theory part is 0.75 and that passing only one of the two parts is 0.36. The question asks us to find the probability of passing the practical test. A probability tree diagram is a visual way to map all the possible outcomes of a sequence of events and the probability of each one. Each branch represents a choice or outcome, and each path from start to finish shows one complete result. Two events are independent if the outcome of one does not affect the outcome of the other. For independent events, we calculate the probability of a path by multiplying the probabilities along the branches. Answering this question is a 5-step process. First, we need to draw a tree diagram, which we can use to visualize and organize the information we've been told. Using variables to represent passing or failing the practical test, we can form and then solve two simultaneous equations. Before adding those values to the tree diagram and calculating the probability of the outcome given to us in the question. To begin, we need to draw a probability tree diagram. The first part of the diagram represents the theory test, where there are only two outcomes, a pass or a fail. The question tells us that the probability of passing the theory test is 0.75. That means that the probability of failing the theory test is 1 minus 0.75, which is 0.25. The second part of the diagram represents the practical test. As before, there are only two outcomes, a pass or a fail. The question tells us that the probability of passing only one of the two parts is 0.36. There are two branches of our probability tree that represent this outcome, a pass on the theory test, followed by a fail on the practical test, or a fail on the theory test, followed by a pass on the practical test. The sum of the probability of those two outcomes is 0.36. We can use these branches to set up an equation where the variables p and f represent a pass or a fail on the practical part of the test. A pass on the theory test and a fail on the practical test is 0.75 f. Or a fail on the theory test and a pass on the practical test, which is 0.25 p, which is equal to 0.36. The sum of the probabilities that both the theory and practical tests are passed, or that both are failed, is 1 minus 0.36, which is 0.64. And we can form a second equation. 0.75p plus 0.25f is equal to 0.64. These equations can be solved simultaneously using elimination. By multiplying the first equation by 3, we get 2.25f plus 0.75p equal to 1.08. And we can see that we have a 0.75p term in both equations, which we can eliminate by subtracting both equations. 2.25f minus 0.25f is 2f, and 1.08 minus 0.64 is 0.44. So 2f is equal to 0.44, which, after dividing both sides by 2, gives us a value of f equal to 0.22. The probabilities of a pass or a fail on the practical test have a sum of 1. Those are the only two outcomes. So, if the probability of a fail is 0.22, then the probability of a pass is 1 minus 0.22, which is 0.78. Answering this question successfully relies on our understanding of probability tree diagrams, the multiplication rule for independent events, and solving simultaneous linear equations. So the probability of passing the practical test, and the answer to this question is 0.78. Visit our website at mathsdepot.com for more maths content.